Before we dive into this emotional roller coaster, if you love stories about unexpected romance, impossible choices, and love that breaks all the rules, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Now, let's begin. Lina's hands trembled as she stared at the eviction notice taped to her apartment door. 48 hours. That's all she had left before everything fell apart. Behind her, through the paper-thin walls, she could hear her mother's labored breathing, each exhale a painful reminder of the medical bills stacked like tombstones on their kitchen table. 23 years old, working 3 jobs, and still drowning. She slid down against the door, her server's uniform reeking of grease and desperation, and let the tears finally come. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry I can't save you." She had no idea that in less than 12 hours, a man in a $10,000 suit would offer her a way out. She had no idea that the price would be 30 days of her life. And she definitely had no idea that those 30 days would destroy and rebuild her heart in ways she never thought possible.
But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to where it really began. 48 hours before the eviction, on the other side of the city, Ethan Voss was living his own nightmare. The conference room fell silent as he slammed his fist on the mahogany table. Papers scattered across the polished surface, and the 12 board members sitting around it flinched in unison. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of Voss Industries, the Manhattan skyline glittered beneath a gray November sky, indifferent to the chaos unfolding on the 47th floor. "Your personal life is a liability, Mr. Voss," Marcus Chen, the lead shareholder, said, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "The Singapore deal is worth $500 million. They want stability, family values, not a CEO whose ex-fiancée just published a tell-all book calling you emotionally unavailable and incapable of love." Ethan's jaw clenched so hard he thought his teeth might crack. At 32, he had built an empire from nothing, transforming his father's failing tech company into a global powerhouse. He had negotiated with presidents, outmaneuvered competitors, and survived hostile takeovers. But this was different. This was personal, and Ethan Voss didn't do personal. "I don't see how my private life affects quarterly earnings," Ethan said coldly, his steel gray eyes sweeping across the room like an executioner surveying the condemned. "The Tan family wants to see commitment, maturity, a man who can lead not just a company, but a family," another board member chimed in, her voice dripping with judgment. "Right now, you're a PR nightmare. Victoria's book has been on the bestseller list for 3 weeks. Every interview she gives makes you look worse. The investors are getting nervous. Fix it in 30 days, or we'll vote to replace you as CEO." The ultimatum hung in the air like a death sentence. 30 days, the same amount of time it took to build Rome, according to his father. The same amount of time it took to destroy everything, according to his experience. Ethan stood, buttoning his charcoal suit jacket with mechanical precision. His face betrayed nothing, but inside, rage and humiliation churned like a storm. "You'll have your answer in 48 hours. He walked out without another word, his leather shoes echoing against marble floors as he made his way to the private elevator. His assistant, Margaret, rushed to keep pace, her tablet clutched against her chest like armor. "Sir, your 3 o'clock is waiting, and the lawyers need signatures on the—" "Cancel everything," Ethan interrupted, his voice hollow. "I need to think." "But, sir, the—" "Everything, Margaret." 20 minutes later, Ethan found himself walking through the lobby of one of his luxury hotels, desperate for air, for space, for anything that didn't feel like a noose tightening around his neck. The doorman nodded respectfully. The concierge smiled nervously. Everyone knew who he was, and right now, that felt like a curse. He was almost to the exit when he heard the commotion near the revolving doors. "I said move along, miss. We don't allow a solicitation here,"
a security guard barked, roughly grabbing the arm of a young woman in a stained server's uniform. Ethan's eyes tracked the scene with detached interest, ready to keep walking, ready to let someone else handle the problem. That's what he always did. Delegate, distance, detach. Ethan's eyes tracked the scene with detached interest until he saw what happened next. The woman, no older than 23, stepped protectively in front of an elderly homeless man who was clutching a worn cardboard sign. "He's not soliciting anything," she said firmly, her voice trembling but resolute. "He's just trying to stay warm. It's 30 degrees outside." "Company policy." "Your company policy can't override basic human decency," she shot back, brown eyes blazing. "If you touch him again, I'll call the police myself and report assault." The security guard looked ready to escalate when Ethan intervened. "Is there a problem here?" Everyone turned. The guard's face went pale when he recognized his employer. "Mr. Voss, I didn't realize this woman was causing a disturbance." "I'll handle it," Ethan said quietly. The guard retreated immediately. The young woman crossed her arms, clearly unimpressed by the expensive suit and commanding presence before her. "Let me guess. You're going to tell me to leave too?" Ethan studied her. She wore a worn jacket over a coffee-stained server's uniform, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. There were shadows under her eyes that spoke of exhaustion, but her chin was raised defiantly. Something about her sparked his curiosity. "Actually, I was going to say thank you," Ethan replied. "Not many people stand up for others anymore." She blinked, clearly surprised. "Well, not many people in expensive suits stop to notice." Before Ethan could respond, she turned back to the homeless man, pressing a $20 bill into his weathered hand. "Get something hot to eat, okay?" As she walked away, Ethan made a split-second decision. "Wait." She paused, looking back over her shoulder. "What's your name?" Lina James. Why?" "Because I might have a proposition for you." 3 hours later, Lina sat in a private conference room on the 47th floor, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she was too nervous to drink. Ethan sat across from her, his expression unreadable. "Let me get this straight," Lina said slowly. "You want to pay me to pretend to be your wife for 30 days? "Not pretend. Legally married. The contract will stipulate all terms, including an automatic annulment after the 30-day period." Lina laughed, but there was no humor in it. "This is insane. I don't even know you." "I know." Ethan slid a folder across the table. "Which is why I had my team do research. You're a junior at Columbia studying social work. You worked 3 jobs to pay tuition. Your mother has stage 3 cancer and her medical bills are drowning you. You're 14 days away from being kicked out of school." The color drained from Lina's face. "You investigated me?" "I investigate everything." Ethan's tone was matter-of-fact, businesslike. "I need someone genuine, kind, and unknown to the media. Someone who can help me present a stable image to secure a crucial business deal. In return, I'll pay your tuition in full, cover all your mother's medical expenses, and give you $250,000 in cash. All you have to do is play the role for 30 days. Lina's hands trembled. "Why me?" "Because 3 hours ago you defended a stranger without expecting anything in return. That's the kind of person people believe in. That's the kind of person I need beside me." Lina stared at the contract, her mind racing. 30 days. Just 30 days, and her mother would have the treatment she desperately needed. She could finish school without working herself to death. She could finally breathe. "There are rules," Ethan continued, his voice cold and clinical. "No physical contact beyond what's necessary for public appearances. No entering my private office. No emotional attachment. This is a business transaction, nothing more." "And after 30 days? "We part ways. You get your money, I get my deal. Clean break." Lina closed her eyes, thinking of her mother's frail hand in hers.
the hospital bills stacked on their kitchen table, the eviction notice taped to their apartment door. When she opened her eyes again, they were filled with reluctant determination. "I'll need a lawyer to review this." "Already arranged. Take 24 hours. "But Lina," Ethan leaned forward, his gray eyes boring into hers, "if you sign this, you commit fully. No backing out. No drama. Can you handle that?" Lina met his gaze without flinching. "Can you?" Something flickered across Ethan's face, gone too quickly to identify. "We have a deal then." 24 hours later, Lina signed her name on the dotted line, and her life changed forever. Moving into Ethan's mansion felt like stepping into another dimension. The penthouse apartment overlooked Central Park, with floor-to-ceiling windows, modern art on every wall, and a silence so profound it felt oppressive. Lina's entire apartment could have fit in the master bathroom.
"Your room is down the hall," Ethan said, barely looking up from his laptop. "Margaret will help you settle in. We have a charity gala tomorrow night. Be ready by 7. "Wait, tomorrow? I don't have anything to wear to a—" "Already handled. Check the closet." Lina walked into her designated bedroom and gasped. The closet was the size of her college dorm, filled with designer dresses, shoes, and accessories, all in her exact size. It was surreal, overwhelming, suffocating. That night, Lina lay in a bed more comfortable than anything she'd ever known and cried silently into Egyptian cotton pillows. The charity gala was a nightmare of flashing cameras, fake smiles, and questions she wasn't prepared to answer. Ethan kept his hand on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd with practiced ease. To everyone watching, they looked perfect together. "Just smile and let me do the talking," Ethan murmured in her ear as they approached a group of investors. But when someone asked Lina about her background, she found herself telling the truth. About her mother, about her dreams of helping underprivileged families, about why she believed everyone deserved kindness regardless of their bank account. The room went quiet. Then, unexpectedly, people began nodding, smiling genuinely. One woman even teared up. Later, in the car ride home, Ethan finally broke the silence. "You didn't follow the script." Lina tensed. "I'm sorry, You were perfect." Ethan's voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. "The media is calling you refreshing, authentic. The board will love this." Lina looked out the window, watching the city lights blur past. "I wasn't trying to be anything. I was just being myself." "I know," Ethan said quietly. "That's what made it work." The days blended together in a strange rhythm. Ethan was gone before dawn, working 18-hour days. But Lina noticed small things. How he rubbed his temples when stressed. How he forgot to eat when focused. How the staff walked on eggshells around him. So she started leaving tea on his desk, making sure dinner was ready when he came home, even though he protested he could eat at the office. Slowly, incrementally, the walls between them began to crack. One night, Ethan found Lina in the kitchen at 2 a.m, hunched over textbooks with tears streaming down her face. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked, his usual cold demeanor slipping. "My mom's treatment. The hospital called. There are complications. They need to do emergency surgery tomorrow, and I can't be there because we have that stupid photo shoot." "Cancel it," Ethan said immediately. "What?" "I'll have Margaret cancel the photo shoot. Go see your mother. Some things are more important than a contract." Lina looked up at him, stunned. In the dim kitchen light, Ethan looked different, younger, almost human. "Thank you," she breathed. "Don't thank me, Lina. Just go." But Lina didn't move. Instead, she stood and impulsively hugged him. Ethan froze, his entire body rigid with shock. For 5 seconds, neither of them breathed. Then, slowly, carefully, Ethan's arms came up and wrapped around her. It lasted only a moment before he pulled away, clearing his throat. "You should get some rest." After Lina left, Ethan stood alone in the dark kitchen, his heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with business deals or board meetings. Day 15 brought Victoria Hale. She swept into the penthouse like a winter storm, all elegant malice and poisonous smiles. Lina came home from class to find the beautiful blonde draped across Ethan's couch, drinking his wine. "So, you're the little charity case," Victoria purred, looking Lina up and down. "How much is he paying you?" "Victoria, get out," Ethan said coldly, emerging from his office. "Oh, don't be rude, darling. I just wanted to meet your new little actress. Tell me, sweetheart, does he make you sign NDAs too? Or are you too naive to realize you're just another business transaction?" Lina's cheeks burned, but she kept her voice steady. "At least I'm honest about what I am." Victoria's eyes flashed dangerously. "Careful, little girl. You're swimming in waters far too deep for you." After Victoria finally left, Lina retreated to her room. But as she passed Ethan's office, she heard him on the phone with his lawyer. "No, the marriage is just for show. Yes, it's purely contractual. Of course there are no real feelings involved. It's business, nothing more." Lina's hand froze on her doorknob. Of course. What had she expected? She'd signed the contract. She'd agreed to the terms. So why did his words feel like a knife to the chest? Still, the days continued, and despite everything, something was shifting. Ethan started coming home earlier. They'd eat dinner together, talking about their days. He'd ask about her classes. She'd tease him about his obsessive work habits. Once, she even made him laugh, a real, genuine laugh that transformed his entire face. Margaret noticed the change. "I've worked for Mr. Voss for 8 years," she confided to Lina one afternoon. "I've never seen him smile so much." But the warmth between them made Lina's heart ache worse because she knew it had an expiration date, 11 days and counting. The partnership gala arrived on day 24, held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Ethan looked devastating in his tuxedo, and Lina wore a sapphire gown that made her feel like someone else entirely. Everything was perfect until Victoria took the stage during the speeches. "I'd like to propose a toast," Victoria announced, her voice carrying across the ballroom, "to Ethan and his lovely wife. Though I have to confess a little secret. She's not actually his wife. She's a hired actress, paid to play a part. Isn't that right, Lina?" The ballroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Cameras flashed. Lina felt the blood drain from her face as every eye turned to her. "Actually," Ethan started, but Victoria cut him off. "Oh, don't try to deny it. I have copies of the contract right here. 30 days, $250,000, all spelled out in black and white." Lina couldn't breathe. The room was spinning, closing in. She pushed through the crowd, ignoring Ethan calling her name, and fled into the night. She found herself on the museum steps, gasping for air, mascara streaming down her face. Behind her, she heard the heavy doors slam open. "Don't," Lina choked out as Ethan approached. "Don't say anything. She's right. This was all fake. I was stupid to forget that. Lina, I'm just an employee, right? Just a transaction. Just someone you pay to make your life easier." Ethan grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. His eyes were wild, desperate, nothing like the cold CEO she'd first met. "You're right," he said hoarsely. "That's how it started. But Lina, somewhere between day 1 and today, you became the only real thing in my life."
Lina shook her head, trying to pull away, but Ethan held firm. "I wake up earlier now because I want to see you before you leave for class. I come home for dinner because spending time with you is the best part of my day. I catch myself smiling at nothing because I'm thinking about something you said. You've changed everything, and I've been too much of a coward to admit it." "Stop," Lina whispered. "The contract ends in 6 days. Let's not make this harder than it has to be." "Then let's end it now.
Ethan's voice broke. "Let's end the contract tonight. Because I don't want you as an employee, Lina. I want you as you. No rules, no terms, just us." For one perfect moment, Lina almost believed him. But then she remembered Victoria's mocking voice, the contract in black and white, the way he'd told his lawyer it was all just business. "I can't," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I can't be your charity case anymore. I can't wonder if you actually care or if this is just another business strategy." She pulled away and ran, disappearing into the New York night. The last 6 days of the contract were agony. Lina moved back to her old apartment. Ethan tried calling, texting, sending flowers, but she ignored everything. Her mother's surgery was successful, her tuition was paid, and she had enough money to finish school. She'd gotten everything she signed up for. So why did she feel like she'd lost everything that mattered?
On day 30, Lina sat in a Columbia lecture hall staring blankly at her professor. The contract was officially over. At midnight tonight, the annulment would be filed, and Ethan Voss would become nothing more than a strange chapter in her life. She was trying to convince herself this was fine when the lecture hall doors burst open. Ethan stood in the entrance, disheveled and breathing hard, still in his business suit. Every head in the room turned. Professors stopped mid-sentence. Students gasped. "Lina James," Ethan called out, his voice echoing through the room. "I need to talk to you." "Mr. Voss, this is highly inappropriate," the professor started. "I know, I apologize." Ethan's eyes never left Lina. "But I've spent my whole life doing what's appropriate, what's expected, what's strategic, and it made me successful and miserable. Then I met someone who taught me that the most important things in life can't be bought or negotiated or controlled." Lina stood slowly, her heart hammering. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "I'm breaking all my rules," he said, walking down the aisle toward her. "I'm making a scene. I'm being emotionally vulnerable in front of 200 witnesses. I'm risking everything for something that can't be quantified in a contract."
He stopped in front of her, and Lina could see he'd been crying. Ethan Voss, the coldest man she'd ever met, had tears in his eyes. "The contract is over," he said softly. "As of midnight tonight, you owe me nothing. I owe you nothing. Which means that anything that happens after that is real. No obligations, no transactions. Just two people choosing each other." "Ethan?" "I'm not asking you to answer now. I'm just asking you to meet me at Central Park, the bridge near my apartment, at midnight. If you show up, I'll know you want to try this for real. If you don't, I'll accept that and never bother you again." He turned and walked out, leaving Lina standing in front of 200 gaping students and one very confused professor. The hours until midnight crawled by like years. Lina sat in her apartment, watching the clock, her mind at war with her heart. What if this was just another manipulation? What if he got bored in a month? What if... Her phone buzzed with a text from Margaret. "He's been standing on that bridge for 3 hours, miss, in the freezing cold, just so you know." Lina looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. She grabbed her coat and ran. She reached the bridge at 11:58, out of breath and terrified. Ethan stood at its center, hands in his pockets, looking up at the stars. He turned when he heard her footsteps, and his entire face transformed with hope. "You came," he breathed. "I almost didn't," Lina admitted, walking toward him. "I'm scared, Ethan. I'm scared this is too good to be true. I'm scared you'll wake up one day and realize I'm just a broke college student with no connections or pedigree." "You're the bravest person I know," Ethan interrupted. "You stood up to security guards and billionaires and ex-fiancés. You worked 3 jobs while taking care of your mom and maintaining perfect grades. You made me feel human again. How could you possibly think you're not enough?" Lina's eyes filled with tears. Because you're you and I'm me. Exactly, Ethan said, cupping her face in his hands. I'm a workaholic with trust issues who doesn't know how to have a normal relationship. And you're someone who brings dinner to her fake husband and makes tea for the staff and defends homeless people. You're exactly what I need. The question is, am I what you need? Lina looked into his eyes and saw something she'd never seen before. Vulnerability, fear, hope, love. Ask me, she whispered. Ask you what? Ask me to marry you. For real this time. No contract, no rules. Just us. Ethan's breath caught. Then, slowly, he dropped to one knee, right there on the bridge, pulling out a simple band, nothing like the ostentatious ring from the contract. Lina James, will you marry me? Not for money or business deals or public image, but because you make me want to be better. Because your smile is the best part of my day. Because I love you. And I don't want to spend another day pretending I don't.
Yes, Lina sobbed, pulling him up and kissing him. Yes, yes, yes. 3 months later, they stood in a small garden ceremony with just their closest friends and family. No cameras, no board members, no contracts, just Ethan in a simple suit and Lina in a tea-length dress, speaking vows they wrote themselves. I promise no more rules, Ethan said, sliding the ring on her finger. Except one. I love you every day for the rest of my life. Deal, Lina whispered, kissing him as their small crowd cheered. Later, as they danced under string lights, Lina looked up at her husband, her real husband, and smiled. What are you thinking? Ethan asked. That 30 days changed everything. Best business decision I ever made, Ethan grinned. This wasn't business, Lina corrected, resting her head on his chest. This was fate. And as they swayed together under the stars, both of them knew she was right. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional romance stories. Share this with someone who believes in second chances and love that breaks all the rules. What would you have done in Lina's position? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, remember, the best things in life can't be bought. They can only be earned through courage, kindness, and taking a chance on love.